Hello and welcome to our channel, Shakespeare's Plays and Summaries, where we go over the works of William Shakespeare. Be sure to subscribe and check out our library of videos. You know, if I told you that a fancy party and a king's suddenly scrupulous conscience could tear a queen's life apart and actually change a country's entire religion, you'd probably think I was pitching a new political thriller on Netflix. But nope, we're actually going back in time to the incredibly high-stakes court of King Henry VIII. So this isn't going to be your typical dry history lesson. Think of it more as a masterclass in the art of power and just how slippery royal favor can be. The one thing you've got to grasp, the thing that drives this whole story, is that the biggest predator in this shark tank isn't the king, it's his right-hand man, Cardinal Wolsey. And that single fact, well, it sets the stage for everything that's about to happen. All right, let's start in the halls of London. Just imagine it. The air is absolutely thick with resentment. You've got these highborn lords, the nobles of the realm, and they are just choking on their own fury, and it's all pointed at one single man. At the very heart of all this tension, you've got two guys from completely different worlds. On one side, you have the Duke of Buckingham. We're talking actual royal blood here. And on the other, Cardinal Wolsey, the son of a butcher, who somehow is now running the entire country. Buckingham is absolutely convinced Wolsey is a poet master, that he's only making peace with France to get rich, and he is not being quiet about it. So when Buckingham tries to call him out, Wolsey doesn't hesitate. He strikes first, and it is ruthless. He bribes a key witness to build a bogus case, accuses the Duke of high treason, and pushes through a conviction. And even though Buckingham puts up a good fight, the butcher's dog, as they call him, wins. Just like that, a powerful rival is gone. As Buckingham is sent to his execution, he leaves the court with this final haunting warning. And look, he's not just talking about his own death here. He's sending a message to everyone else about the kind of man Wolsey is and the power he has. With his main rival out of the picture, the cardinal's power now seems totally absolute. But while all this political drama is unfolding, the king, well, he's got other things on his mind. He's suddenly become scrupulous, or at least that's his story. Out of the blue, after years and years of marriage, he suddenly has a moral problem with his own queen. And the official reason he gives? It's all about religious law. Yeah, so that's the official line. Henry starts claiming his marriage to Queen Catherine is unholy because, see, she was his brother's widow. He's waving the Bible around, saying his conscience is pricked and that God is against their union. It's a very, very convenient crisis of faith, wouldn't you say? And that, right there, is the million-dollar question. Because let's be real, behind all the talk about scripture and sin, what really drives politics in the Tudor court is personal desire. And the real reason for the king's scuffle, well, she's about to walk right onto the stage. Her name is Boleyn. And get this, at a masquerade party thrown by Cardinal Wolsey himself, Henry, who is disguised as a shepherd, meets and is instantly captivated. He calls her a dainty one. And all of a sudden, the king's big religious crisis becomes a matter of national urgency. A single dance is about to light the fuse on a revolution. Now you might think the king falling for a new woman would be a disaster for Wolsey. But actually, the cardinal is all for the divorce. There's just one huge problem. He has his own secret plan, and he has completely, and I mean completely, misread what the king truly wants. See, Wolsey sees this divorce as a brilliant move on the European chessboard. It's his chance to lock in a powerful French alliance by marrying Henry off to a French princess. He has absolutely no clue that the king has already picked his next wife, and a woman Wolsey privately dismisses as a spleenies Lutheran, basically a hot-tempered Protestant sympathizer. He's playing one game, while the king is playing another one entirely. So this is our setup for the massive storm that's about to hit. You've got the cardinal and his complicated chess game. You have a queen who refuses to just be swept off the board. And you have a king who is absolutely done being a pawn in anyone's game, not even his most trusted advisors. And this is where it gets really good. The high-blown pride of the church, completely embodied by Cardinal Wolsey, is on a direct collision course with the noble spirit of Queen Catherine, a woman who is absolutely not going down without a fight. The big question is, who's going to survive the falla? So picture this. It's the 16th century, and at the very heart of England, things are about to explode. King Henry VIII wants a divorce, but his devout wife, Queen Catherine, is having none of it. And caught right in the middle, the incredibly powerful Cardinal Wolsey. Now you gotta understand, This isn't just some messy royal breakup. This is a full-blown public trial at Blackfriars, and literally the fate of the entire kingdom is hanging in the balance. So there's Queen Catherine standing totally alone against the king, the cardinal, the entire court, and she fixes her gaze on one man, Cardinal Wolsey. She does not mince words. She lays into him with his accusation that just cuts through the tension in that cold stone courtroom. And what Catherine does next? Honestly, it's a performance that any lawyer today would be jealous of. It is an absolute masterclass in how to be defiant, strategic, and just plain tough, all while on the biggest stage in the country. Her strategy is just brilliant. First, she drops to her knees in front of Henry. But don't be fooled. This is not submission. It's a calculated, powerful display of humility and duty. She reminds him, and everyone else watching, that she's been a true and humble wife for 20 long years. Then she turns her fire on Wolsey, calling him the igniter of the king's doubts. And for the finale, she completely refuses the court's authority, turns her back on all of them, and walks out declaring she'll take her case straight to the Pope in Rome. A total mic drop moment. And you know, right as Catherine is making this incredibly bold stand, the ground starts to shift under the feet of the most powerful man in the kingdom, Cardinal Wolsey himself. His luck is about to run out. See, for years, the cardinal has been walking this political tightrope, playing a really high-stakes game between his king on one side and the Pope on the other. It's a balancing act that's made him ridiculously powerful and, well, incredibly rich. But a game like that can't last forever. So you'd think his downfall would be some huge, complicated plot, right? Nope. It all comes down to one single, simple, almost unbelievable mistake. A negligent error that cost him everything. So what was it? Well, here's how it all unravels. Wolsey's sending a bunch of state papers over to the king. But, oops, by complete accident, his clerk slips in a private little document, a detailed inventory of all the cardinal's personal wealth. And when Henry gets his hands on that list, everything changes in an instant. We are not talking about a little extra cash here. The scale of this wealth is just mind-boggling. Gold, huge tracts of land, priceless treasures, riches he piled up from his positions in the church and state. The king suddenly realizes that his own subject is way richer than the crown itself. The sheer abundance of it is just staggering. And just like that, poof, all of King Henry's supposed religious scruple about his marriage, the thing that kicked this whole mess off, it just evaporates. It's replaced by pure cold hard rage. He's been played for a fool, and now he knows it. The fallout is swift, and it is brutal. The king calls for his cardinal, holding those damning papers in his hand. This is it, the end of the line for Wolsey. You know, Henry doesn't even have to shout. He just shows Wolsey the evidence of his wealth and leaves him with a frowning look. In a court like Henry's, for a man like Wolsey, that look, that's a death sentence. He knows, right then and there, it is all over. Stripped of all his power, a completely broken Wolsey reflects on his spectacular fall. He admits to his servant what his real, fatal flaw was. I have adventured in a sea of glory, but my high-blown pride at length broke under me. And his final lesson, man, it hits hard. He turns to his loyal servant Cromwell with one last piece of advice, born from the most bitter experience. Fling away ambition. By that sin fell the angels. The butcher's sun is out, and a new world is about to begin. So as Wolsey's star crashes and burns, another one just skyrockets into the heavens. The whole reason for all this chaos, and Boleyn, is finally about to get her prize. And the transfer of power happens so fast it'll make your head spin. With Wolsey gone, Henry doesn't waste a second. He secretly marries Anne. And then, boom, it's announced that she will be publicly crowned the new Queen of England. Her coronation is an absolute spectacle of stately magnificence. It's this sun-drenched triumphant party. The streets of Westminster are packed with people celebrating. I mean, it is a universe away from the cold ruin of Cardinal Wolsey's career. But, you know, behind all the parades and the cheering, this is a bittersweet win. Because in Henry's court, for every big winner, there's always a big loser. And the contrast here could not be more stark or more tragic, really. Well, the new queen, Anne, is being cheered through the streets of Westminster. The old Queen Catherine is just fading away, exiled to some lonely house at Kimbleton, basically forgotten by the very court that used to worship her. So there you have it. One queen has risen, another has been cast aside. A great minister is completely destroyed. For now, at least, the transition of power is complete. But hey, this is Henry's court we're talking about. Peace never lasts long. And just as this chapter closes, you can be sure that a new conspiracy is already starting to brew in the shadows. Okay, so when you think of a story about Henry VIII, you're probably picturing an executioner's axe, right? But what if I told you the grand finale to this chapter of his life wasn't about death at all, but about a birth and a pretty stunning prophecy? Let's get into it. Yep, that's right, we're flipping the script here. This isn't a tale about endings. It's a dramatic and kind of unexpected new beginning. The final act has it all: triumph, conspiracy, and an incredible vision of the future. So our story kicks off in a quiet, somber room. Queen Catherine of Aragon is on her deathbed, but even here, in her last moments, she has this incredibly powerful vision. She sees spirits in white robes crowning her, and this completely reframes her death, doesn't it? It's not a defeat, it's a spiritual victory. She achieves this immortal dignity, something the king, with all his earthly power, could never, ever take from her. So, just as one chapter closes with Catherine finding her peace, another one just explodes open back in London. Oh yeah, the political knives are out again. A new hornet's nest of bishops is brewing a plot to take down one of the most powerful men in England. And the target of this new plot? Well, it's none other than Thomas Cranmer, the Archbishop of Canterbury, and the guy leading the charge is the very bitter and resentful Bishop Gardiner. Their goal is simple: to completely destroy him. Okay, so let's break down this conspiracy. You have this group of bishops, Gardiners at the head, and they hit Cranmer with the most serious charge imaginable back then: heresy. They drag him before the council, and they fully intend to make an example of him. And look, this wasn't just an accusation. It was calculated humiliation. They forced the Archbishop of Canterbury to wait outside the council chamber door like a common servant, a lousy footboy. Can you even imagine the insult? The plan is simple, and it is brutal. From this humiliation, they're going to send him directly to the Tower of London. And in Tudor England, we all know what that means. The stakes could not be higher. But in all their ruthless scheming, the conspirators have overlooked one tiny but absolutely fatal flaw. The king? He actually likes Thomas Cranmer. So just as the council is about to deliver its verdict, Cranmer plays his trump card. He produces the king's own ring. Now this wasn't just jewelry. It was a token, an undeniable symbol of royal protection that just stops the bishops dead in their tracks. And then the king himself walks in. And he doesn't just pardon Cranmer. Oh no, he absolutely unleashes on the council, blasting them for their cruelty. Then he forces them, one by one, to embrace the very man they just tried to destroy. It's a total power move, reminding everyone who is really in charge. With that political drama resolved, the stage is set for the story's true climax. The whole scene shifts to this moment of huge national celebration, the christening of the new baby princess, Elizabeth. And let me tell you, this is no quiet affair. The crowd is immense, so thick and unruly that the palace porters literally have to beat him back with clubs just to clear path. The energy is just chaotic and ecstatic. And right in the middle of all this great triumph, the man who just escaped the tower, Archbishop Cranmer, stands up. And he's not just there to perform a ceremony. He's there to deliver what's called a vision of comfort, a prophecy for the ages. He looks at the infant princess, and he predicts that this child, Elizabeth, will grow up to be a pattern to all princes, a model ruler for the whole world to see. He keeps going, prophesying that her reign will bring in a golden age for England, an era defined by peace, plenty, love, and liberty. He says she'll be virtuous and pure, growing to her grave like a maiden lily. It's just this powerful, almost divine image for this tiny child. And believe it or not, the prophecy doesn't even end with her. Kramer predicts that after her long and glorious reign, a mountain cedar, which is a reference to her successor, King James, will rise to continue her legacy. So how does the famously volatile King Henry react to all this? He is absolutely overjoyed. He holds his daughter and declares that this child has finally made him now a man. A moment of pure personal triumph for the king. So the story ends on this high note of celebration. A happy ending, right? Well, it's a bit more complicated than that. We have to look at the cost of this so-called happy day. The crucial point to remember is that for every triumph, there was a ruin. Yes, a new heir is christened, but that only happened because a queen, Catherine, was cast aside. The king asserts his absolute power, sure, but only after a powerful Cardinal, Wolsey, was utterly destroyed. And this is the ruthless logic of the Tudor court. It's a stark reminder that the high events of the day can be celebrated as a victory, but only because the narrative is shaped by the winner. All is well, but only as long as the king is satisfied. Which leaves us with this final thought. This whole affair is presented as a royal holiday, a moment of national joy, but it really makes you wonder, is the truth of history ever really that simple, or is it always built on the ruins of someone else's story? Final thoughts on King Henry VIII. Don't forget to visit our bookstore link for your own copy.